Before this episode of Revenge of the Sequel, we just wanted to remind you guys that you can follow us online at revengeofthesequel.com or Revenge of the Sequel in the Apple News app. You'll see news there, and opinions on things like who the new Joker should be.
Who should it be? You'll have to read.
You'll have to read. Yeah. Tonight at 10, who the new Joker should be. And the other thing that I want to make sure we talk about is we're close to our 100th episode, and we have just recorded a really awesome interview with Troma's Lloyd Kaufman.
Oh, man.
But before that, we're going to give away a ton of really awesome stuff. So here's what you do. You find Delphin Pod on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're going to have a picture of our giveaway box, and it's filled with awesome stuff. Guys, do you like Pops? Yeah. I just answered that for you.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, were we supposed to answer?
There's Pops.
We did not rehearse this at all.
There are a couple Pops in there. There's some books in there. There's, I don't know, some movies in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some toys.
Lots of toys.
It's a lot of really awesome stuff from sequels, and you can have it, and all you have to do is like or comment on one of those pics, and you're in the drawing, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we're giving something away for our 100th episode, and then make sure to like and subscribe and comment, because we got a really awesome Lloyd Kaufman episode. Breaking news, too, right, in it?
Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to want to hear that. Like, definitely want to hear it.
It's going to be good. Lex, you didn't say anything this whole fucking time.
I said we didn't rehearse this.
It's already too late.
Okay.
But their story didn't end there.
How could there have been only one? And he's back in business.
Is the worst idea in history of bad ideas.
Part 2 is the final chapter in the violent history of...
This time, it's personal.
Nice. Guys, welcome back to episode 98 of Revenge of the Sequel, the podcast about sequels. We're almost at that hundy, baby.
Almost there.
My name is Emmanuel.
My name is John.
And we've been with you for almost 100 episodes. Some of you guys probably started off listening to this podcast with a girlfriend or boyfriend, and now they've left you.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed, baby. Remember that.
That's true, yeah.
Remember, we stayed, they didn't.
We won't leave you.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Not
anyway,
yet.
There you go. Yeah.
Now we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Never say never. So
we could leave you. Returning for a record. How many times?
Is this fourth or third?
This is fourth.
Fourth time in the danger zone is let's get ready to rumble. Lex.
My name's Lex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me back.
What have you learned since you started being on this podcast? What?
You guys are really, really dark motherfuckers.
We are. We are. Our skin.
The sun is really bright down here in
yeah,
Texas.
It's summertime.
So, like, yeah.
Come on, we tan.
No. I've learned a lot about what it takes to discuss a movie and to break it down, and just I've had a good time overall, and yeah, I can't wait to be part of more. Unless I'm getting fired today.
Well, guys, let's leave it there. This week, if you like dolls, if you like horror, if you like polio. Annabelle Creation,
a hint of polio,
yeah. Then this movie is for you, and we're talking to you, former President FDR, who also had polio.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the polio podcast; that's a different podcast. Cut two. Let's go to the polio podcast. Hey guys.
Wait.
Yeah. Well, you're the one who messed up. You said the polio podcast was a sitting room because they can't stand. That's messed up, Randy.
It's true.
I'll make sure to cut all this out. Here's the trailer for Annabelle Creation. And oh shit, I fucking lost that.
God, it's not recording.
Oh wow. I'm gonna say that on the. Stop cooking it up here.
That's a hard word. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Here's the synopsis of the movie. 12 years after the tragic death of their little girl, a doll maker and his wife welcome a nun and several girls from a shuttered orphanage into their home, soon becoming the target of the doll maker's possessed creation, Annabelle. I got to tell you, reading that description makes you think, what? What is this? But yeah, so that is the synopsis of this movie. This film is this is what this movie is. It's a prequel to
A prequel.
the spin-off
Oh wait. I guess
of
so.
The Conjuring, right?
Wait.
Because the doll is just a thing that's in The Conjuring.
You guys seen the first Annabelle movie, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it was a bit painful, but I skipped it. Yeah,
So-
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
So does that first Annabelle film? Doesn't it take place before The Conjuring? So isn't this a prequel of a prequel?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
It's the origin story to the prop in the prequel to the
To the
spin-off.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I
Conjuring.
like how it. Well, are we doing the? Are we doing?
We're
Spoiler
doing Annabelle
free?
Creation.
No, are we doing spoiler free first?
Yeah, let's do the spoiler free first. We're not gonna. If this is a spoiler, don't talk.
Just
about
know
it.
that it's a prequel, and it's possibly a prequel of a prequel, but who knows? We've spoiled it.
Yeah. Well, it's the origin story, so it is a prequel.
It's true. Yeah, creation.
Kind of creation.
It
Well,
looks like
wasn't the last movie called Annabelle Origins? Oh no,
no, it's just
no,
Annabelle.
it's just Annabelle. Never mind.
So we didn't spoil anything. You hear that?
True.
We didn't spoil anything. But in Game of Thrones, let me tell you, no.
No.
No. So Annabelle
Yeah.
Creation. So this movie is it's insane because the Conjuring universe has now. What do you guys think of the Conjuring universe? It's made now over $1 billion. It's more profitable than like some DC stuff.
I think that's kind of.
Why'd you have to do that?
It's it's just because you're here, Lex.
Okay.
What was I going to say? The Conjuring
Conjuring
cinematic
verse.
universe is kind of weird. Saying that out loud, I didn't notice that there was this many movies into it. Like it's kind of like I guess it's really cool. Like to see all these I guess like wherever these little offshoots of like the Conjuring like plots go because in the Conjuring they don't really actually focus on Annabelle at all. It's like it's the prologue to the actual movie.
Mhm.
So I guess it's kind of nice to kind of have these. I mean, if you're really interested in stuff like that, normally I wouldn't be interested in something like this. The movie just ended up being really well, but I think I don't know. To me it's really bizarre. Like I guess people
Yeah.
really just love horror movies.
Yeah, it's one of
Yeah,
the
like-
few horror franchises because now franchises are like comic books or
yeah, it's true.
known stuff.
You
and
don't
this
get
is just
yeah.
horror.
You don't get very many. Like the last big horror franchise that like kept going on and on was like the Saw franchise
Saw
or the
Paranormal
Paranormal
Activity.
Activity. Yeah. And so you don't really have those anymore. So like
Yeah.
I guess the Conjuring
And those
series of movies will take that place.
those movies declined in quality as they went on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I feel like the Conjuring verse, at least for now,
Keep getting
has
better.
Yeah, it's better or it's kept steady because this isn't the end of Conjuring verse. This is Annabelle, but
Yeah.
they're making a nun
The
movie.
Nun movie, yeah.
And the Smiling Man or the
Crooked Man. The
Crooked
Crooked
Man
Man, yeah.
from Conjuring
Oh.
2.
Yeah, that one I don't know about, but yeah, it's
But James Wan, the director of Aquaman and Fast 7, Furious, whatever.
the good ones.
Yeah. He has created kind of this visual style and this I wrote it in the review on revengeandsequel.com, but the return of big budget horror, I think, to Warner Brothers because they haven't or there's not a lot of big budget horror movies. I think when now you think of like a movie that costs it's a cheap movie that's bloody and gory and you didn't really need the best camera work. But I think the Conjuring verse is kind of the return of these big set pieces with like horror.
Studio driven horror basically,
Mhm.
yeah, which is like it's kind of people don't really I guess they don't want to really invest a lot of money into like rated R movies because you don't really make a big return back.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw
like
what
Passion
happened
of the Christ.
yeah, or like Crimson Peak, which kind of wasn't a horror movie, but people were expecting that out of that, and so people kind of went to go watch that, and they didn't really get it. And that movie, like, obviously cost a ton because
Yeah.
Del Toro does not come cheap. So,
Yeah.
like, it's kind of easy to, I don't know, those horror movies like that. It's a safe way to do it, and it's kind of smart. I mean, because we say you were saying it's big budget horror. It's not really that big budget. Like,
Yeah.
it's still like
It's more than you would spend on a slasher.
yeah, definitely. But it's also less than what that you would get on a Fast and
Yeah.
Furious movie or something. Like,
And the person who's directed this movie, David Sandberg. David Sandberg, who I emailed, couldn't be on the podcast because he's making Shazam,
a little indie movie called Shazam.
a little indie movie called Shazam.
Which would've been-
Now it's time for Lex's DC corner.
It would have been called Captain Marvel
DC
if it
corner.
was.
What do you think about the Shazam movie?
I'm excited.
Okay,
I
cool.
was-
So
oh,
now, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just impressed that he's a director on board. I'm glad you shared that with me.
You want his email?
It's I mean, I'll be like, hey,
Bleep this out later.
okay.
Ouch.
So it's interesting that you mentioned the director. I'm not gonna talk about the DC at least right now. But no, like what's interesting about what we were just talking about regarding budget and things like that is that he's a director that's used to working with very, very little budget and almost no budget at all.
Yeah, and he's the guy. If you guys ever watched, or if you Google "Lights Out," that short film, you probably have seen it. It was shared. It went viral.
Well, no, it's a film now.
It's a film now.
If you Google it, you'll find the film first, but it was a short film first before that.
So watch the short film, and from that short film, which cost $0, he shot it with his wife. He got a meeting with James Wan, and they both kind of hit it off. I think James Wan said that in the meeting, Sandberg had all these sketches that he drew out, and they watched the same movies, and they have the same kind of priorities on set. And I mean, he's like indie film Cinderella story that people are.
It was quick too.
Yeah, very quickly.
Lights Out came out what 2 years ago?
Yeah,
maybe less than that. A year ago?
Less than that. Maybe
Probably
last year.
Probably 4. No, I'm talking about the talking about the short or the
no, the actual film.
the
movie
actual
came out
film
last
was like
year.
last year. Yeah.
Last year.
Bonkers, right? In a year, here make these movies in a boom, 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 shell them out, baby.
And it was good. Lights Out wasn't bad at all. It was really, really creepy.
Yeah, really new.
It was marketed really well. But yeah, so I'm glad he was on board for this movie. I think he took a big role on revitalizing the Annabelle part of the Conjuring verse.
Would you say he breathed life into a soulless
lifeless,
doll?
Yeah, soulless.
Oh my god,
A soulless doll of a franchise.
Is Sandberg really the demon who made the Annabelle come to life?
Well, what I think about this is, I wrote this movie very early off. I wrote it off very early. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I wrote this movie, and I was like, wait, what?
now
We're
you
here with
guys
the
know.
screenwriter of Annabelle.
Special guest.
Yeah.
No, I wrote this movie off very early on, just based on my experience with the previous Annabelle movie. I didn't hold it up to high standards. I thought out of the Conjuring verse, it was its weakest form. However, it was an interesting choice. The things that were done in this movie, it kind of brought me back to those Insidious days as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It
Or the
gave me-
Conjuring 1.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
even just things that really, I think those were the first. It was like year one for this revolution of bringing back the horror genre and step away from like what needs to be gory and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it's so let's just get into it. What do you guys think? What are your first impressions? Spoiler-free review of Annabelle Creation.
Spoiler free. Okay.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So first impressions. Once again, it's a well-crafted movie with a storyline that we've probably seen many times before. It's nothing unusual. I think the horror genre is just at that, but through different angles and different director stylists and aestheticness to it, and even the narrative, like he truly made you care about these characters to a certain extent, even though there was a large pool of characters to pick from. I think overall it became a movie that's pleasant to see. It's creepy when it needs to be, and it actually doesn't rely too much on jump scares, which is typically what you expect from a movie like this.
Yeah, the tension is definitely there.
And once again, to capture all of that in something that is reminiscent of probably some of the best horror movies in our age, like Insidious and things like that. It really took an impact on where this genre could go, and it didn't force itself into creating that universe. So that's another thing to add. Like,
Oh yeah, like it's super standalone-ish.
exactly.
Except for the end, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole movie is like, even from the period that it's set in, it's just like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like even everything from the setting as well, because you're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Once again, it doesn't need to tie everything together, and it leaves enough questions to be answered, which makes you excited for future films.
Yeah. John, what did you think of Annabelle?
I'm gonna echo Lex's statement earlier when he said he wrote off the film very early. That was actually me up until I saw it. I am not a huge fan of horror movie spin-offs. I'm not sure if there's even, now saying it out loud, I'm not sure if there's such a thing. But like, I'm not really a big fan of like spin-offs that come out of like, because I enjoy the first two Conjuring movies. They're pretty cool. I wouldn't say they're scary movies. They're more good movies, and they are like scarier, but they're very well shot, and you can totally tell James Wan does everything in those flicks with love and and craft. So they're pretty cool. I never really had an urge to see the Annabelle movie, like the original Annabelle movie, because something about I don't know, something about like demons like possessing inanimate objects. I think it's just been played out, in my opinion. That's why this movie has been so surprising to me. This movie was not. I wouldn't say like it's the greatest horror movie I've seen this year, but it does have some like really nice, genuine surprises. And the main thing, I think Lex said it, was that it's super standalone-ish. Like you don't really. I mean, the doll isn't really even the source of like the evil, which is pretty cool. You get a lot of other things, which are like I don't really want to. I guess we can get into it like for real, but you have like actual demons coming out, and stuff that I didn't think they would actually show, and it's just it was just a really good time. It's very surprising. I'm kind of disappointed that I thought it was gonna suck really bad, but it was it was awesome. It surprised the hell out of me. And a prequel of a prequel isn't supposed to be that good. There you go. That's all I want to say. Like usually,
True.
You don't usually get quality stuff out of something that, on paper anyway, sounds like you're milking the cow. And this definitely did it right.
Yeah, this movie definitely stands on its own. There are a couple things where you could tell they're trying to lead it in towards the Conjuring verse, and I won't spoil it. We'll talk about it later. But there was some pretty obvious
Superman shows up.
Yeah, there's like some pretty obvious. This is just for future things, this isn't for this movie. But you're right, like it's so tense, and there's so much of worrying for these girls and what's around every corner, and it's a mixture of subtle things like a doll's head looking a different way when you look back, which is a tiny thing but makes you like, oh my gosh. And that plus something that's very obviously like terrifying, like petrifying, like seeing some crazy
demonic
demonic
presence,
thing grab something. And so it's a good mix of the two, because at some point it leaves you to wonder which kind of scare you're going to get. Is it going to be subtle, or is it going to be, But I think you're right that this movie does fall into a lot of the same tropes and the same kind of horror movie things that every horror movie has. I mean, things are going to escalate. It's going to start off real light, and then it's going to get into, the scary stuff.
Well, I mean, I think the reason we say that, though, and maybe we'll start nitpicking it or picking it apart right now, is the fact that it's very similar. Like when those early cliches at the beginning of the movie start happening, like where a person walks into a room and that door closes behind them or something like that. You've seen that already in all of the other Conjuring, and I guess maybe in this case Annabelle movies. Like you've kind of already seen those tropes. They're almost being done almost again. Because we were talking about before we started recording that this guy really looks like he was trying to homage the shit out of James Wan's camera style. So all those cliches, like it almost feels like they're intentional at the beginning. You know what I mean?
think there's a lot of it. It looks the same. It's kind of everything that happens when you're in a multiverse kind of thing, where all the Marvel movies look the same. Like visually.
Oh yeah.
All of the DC movies are going to look
aesthetic,
real gritty. Yeah. So I think that's the same thing with this. That everything has to have that aesthetic that keeps it in the Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
But well, I think what I've been reading, the only thing people really have problems with maybe is the ending. Maybe some of the characters who are. I mean, this movie has classic A characters and B characters.
Yeah.
It's a group of girls who go into an orphanage, and you have the two that you're supposed to care more about, and then
you have some canon.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
They were mean.
Has
I'm
anyone?
Just saying,
That's true. They were bullied.
They were mean.
I want to ask you guys this question. Horror movies, the James Wan horror movies, which I guess I just named them off. They seem to have a very low body count. Is that refreshing for anybody? It is for me.
Well, I think one of the reasons why is because they always deal with children. I think it's a very quick. If you're a writer and you're writing a horror movie and it's an adult woman or adult man, it's going to take a while for the audience to care for them. But if you cast, or if the main character of the movie is a kid, right off the bat, people are just like, I hope this kid doesn't get in any trouble or get hurt. So I think it's a smart way of saving some time, even though this movie does take its time in the beginning.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
But it's a smart way of getting an audience to care about your main characters without needing like a backstory
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Just have a kid. You could be in trouble. Like it's just a kid. Like even and it happens in a lot of horror movies. Paranormal Activity, even The Shining. Like you have kids. Kids. Wait, it's not The Shining, right?
Yeah, there's a kid in the show.
Oh yeah, there's a kid in The Shining. Yeah. So just having a kid is like a very classic, quick way to have people care about it.
Connected to it.
And it's a
Unless
little,
the kid's an asshole.
it's super obvious in this Conjuring verse because every Conjuring movie has a family with kids in it.
It's always like a possessed
Yeah.
like child or something.
Yep.
Yeah, or Annabelle 1 is about a lady who's about to give birth to a baby, like not a kid yet, but a
A pre-kid.
a negative kid, a pre-kid, a
So-
prequel to a kid.
A prequel to a kid.
But yeah,
to prevent all this demonic shit from happening, just wear a
don't have
condom.
kids. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think about one of the
We're
real
a holy
advantages?
con-
One of the advantages of being in this Conjuring verse too is you kind of know the rules going in. I mean, it stands on its own, but the Conjuring movies before it kind of set you up for these are demons
There's the
possessing
formula.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's that's
What
what it
I, what I
is.
also like, speaking to like the body count and how it's refreshing to just have, a centered focus around certain characters, which I actually think this movie, that body count, it kind of pushed it towards the limit, but it still did a good job at keeping us in the loop.
seriously.
But
This is probably the goriest of the Conjuring movies. Like gore.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say that probably.
yeah, I agree. That's true.
The first
Oh,
one,
that
though,
did impress me. Never
but
mind.
also just that first one has
We're
that,
still
like,
keeping it spoiler free.
Oh, yeah.
But something just this is not spoilerish, but typically, and also movies, and James Wan typically doesn't do this, but in some of these movies, you also expect to have like a priest and or like an exorcist come in
Yeah.
at last minute. This movie,
The
this
power
is
of
not
Christ
spoilerish, but
compels
this
you.
movie does have a nun, but she feels more like an internal.
What? I didn't say
Is that
anything.
spoilers?
What was it, like,
No,
what?
you just said it in a weird way. This
Oh.
film has a nun.
Okay.
Don't freak out, guys.
Great, there
This
goes
movie
our
has a nun.
anti-nun audience. Lex, they're not going to listen now.
Oh my
They
god.
hate nuns. Yeah,
Sorry.
the lawyers.
Sue me. No, but that's hilarious.
You were like a disgraced politician. Like,
no, but
yeah, there's a nun.
So what I'm trying to say, she felt more central. Like I felt like she was more connected to the girls, and rather than acting like nunnish. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Lex.
No. You know what I'm saying? Like she was a character that you could relate to.
Yeah.
Whereas typically on other movies, you have a priest that comes in on the second half of
Yeah.
the movie, and you really don't care about that person. You know that their neck's gonna snap or something like that. So that's what I was trying to get at in terms of like how this movie kept the body count focused, centered, and it didn't fall into a lot of the cliches as far as like, oh, what this person based on their role, how they need to think and how they need to feel.
I agree. I think everyone, especially the kids, great acting by everyone, especially the little girls.
Is the main girl the girl from the Ouija
Ouija,
movie?
yeah, she's in Ouija
Yeah, it
too.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
in there
in
too. But I think one of the things that really helped is these are strong characters, and usually you get characters who are so scared by everything that they become weak. But there's a sense that everyone is fighting something, or at least putting up a fight against these demons, which is really, really great. It's not just running around crying for half the movie. But that's the end of our spoiler-free review. Now we go into the spoiler zone. Let's play the spoiler zone theme song.
Highway
To
to
hell.
hell. Spoiler
Oh.
zone. Oh shit, my bad.
Well, welcome to
We
the
read that
spoiler
differently
zone. Guys, what the fuck did you guys think about? Just kidding. It's also the rated X zone. Let's take our pants off and cuss,
I
everyone.
missed that. Goddamn. I don't know if I want to.
Well, so what did you think? And I'm jumping to the end. What do you think about that ending? It's one of the weird things. This movie doesn't really wrap up,
I don't like that ending.
right?
What do you mean?
The movie doesn't really. I mean, of course.
with a girl just like being missing.
yeah, like it's
But
sort of.
it links it back to the which I was not expecting. I thought the
It's
movie
true.
was gonna end.
wasn't
right
that the
fucking there.
that the Rogue One moment of this movie where it leads right up to the boom.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't compare it to Rogue One, but yeah, I guess
Just
you're,
as good
you're
as
right.
Rogue One, I'd say.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so
No, you're right. So, but I actually did think the movie was gonna end right
After
before that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like they didn't wrap it up.
Yeah.
But I do feel by linking it, it kind of does that.
Technically, it does.
Because I don't need to know what happened from her leaving and how she got to like
Yeah,
an
an
orphanage.
orphanage, yeah.
Like I don't need to know that story.
guess-
But I'm sorry to interrupt. But I would have liked to see like maybe a little bit more about how that girl processes it, or
how the cult got started up, like where she because her and her boyfriend murdered. I don't know. I haven't seen the first.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
have to
you're spot
watch
on.
the
You got it.
Annabelle
Yeah,
one.
you've
So,
got
like-
you've got what happens.
you have
It's
to
like a not Marilyn Manson.
Like
Charles
Manson
Manson.
murder.
Yeah,
Yeah, Manson murder.
Uh,
Manson.
It's that sort of thing.
I don't. Did they show where the girls were going, and they just got in the bus and then they?
No, they got on. I think that may be the resolution that I was looking for, because it sort of feels like, hey, shit happens. Go to the next orphanage, and I guess it plays into the fact that when they show,
Choose one that's not haunted next time. Damn it.
yeah, when David Sandberg's wife cameos as the girl who is telling them, you're gonna really love this girl that you're gonna adopt. I guess that's there so that you think that it's the main girl, not the one who escaped. I guess it's sort of like the
Linda, that other girl.
yeah, it's sort of the trick
Legion
for
one.
you.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
hey, I'm glad that because it leads to the crazy girl that is possessed getting adopted instead. But they started in that scene where they're walking the parents through the orphanage. You're thinking it's going to be the other girl, not the possessed girl.
No, I knew she was a possessed girl.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
think.
well, fuck you guys, all right?
I was like, I don't know about
How
that.
the
Like,
Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Sue me.
Didn't you see
yeah.
when
Sue
they
me, you
opened,
nuns.
when they opened that closet, like there was a hole, like some monster had to carve to?
And right when they're leading the parents down the hall, there's like a very ominous music cue. Like it's not happy music that's playing
All right,
in the
fine.
background.
Okay,
Manny,
fine.
you just read
Fine.
that all wrong.
Fine, I was wrong. You just made this
I
into
don't-
a
yeah.
very, very tense podcast, and I hope you're happy with me taking the opposite side of every opinion you guys make.
This movie is
Okay.
bad.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, what were you gonna say about the end? Did you actually like? I didn't like the way it was like kind of connecting into the. I've never seen the other Annabelle, but I didn't really like.
It's a cool surprise.
Obviously, you're supposed to do that because, like again, like what Lex said, you need to wrap it up. And why wouldn't you wrap it up by just connecting to the
It
movie?
jumps a lot of years. You're right, because
yeah,
it
and
is
it's
like,
just,
hey,
it's very jarring.
you know what? This demon's just cool for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. He's just chilling.
Eating food,
Just
having
eating normal
family
food.
dinner.
And then one of the weird things is in the Annabelle movie you didn't watch is the husband buys the doll as a gift for her or something. Does that make sense? So the girl is possessed. The crazy girl's possessed,
Right.
right? But the doll happens to come to the neighbor, the pregnant lady,
Coincidentally,
Does that make sense? So
I mean, I guess it makes
'cause
sense,
before-
but it doesn't make sense in terms of movie logic.
before creation was made, she
Yeah.
got the doll, and
the pregnant wife.
yeah, the pregnant wife got the doll, and
Yeah,
then
you're
the
right.
spirit of the killer went into the doll.
Okay.
So this
Yeah,
doll
that,
gets
that was confusing.
this doll gets
Yeah.
possessed in its history twice.
Yeah. See.
Yeah,
That,
from
so
this
that's a
one
continuity.
and from
yeah. See. That's.
But
the
you know
next one.
what I feel. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Go for it.
what I feel like they did, because actually, but I didn't read much on this movie. Once again, I wrote it off. But so what I thought they were gonna do, I thought this was gonna be the real prequel. So I thought they were just rebooting that and forget about that other one.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised when it linked it up. There is continuity errors, but I feel like the story that they showed us here and how it linked up, I think that's what set. The other little details, I guess they want to reboot it.
Yeah,
And-
because if they had just closed the trunk and the doll was in there, sure, it found its way. It's
Yeah, that
It
would,
walks.
who knows what happened.
Yeah,
What-
exactly.
What was interesting, a really interesting cameo, and I thought that's the way that they were gonna go before they linked it up to the previous movie, was how when she got adopted at the end, they gave her a doll, and that's the real Annabelle doll.
Yeah,
You see the one with
the
Raggedy Ann.
The Raggedy Ann
that's
doll.
the
yeah.
real because this should
It's based off of a
not
true
this story is
yeah.
real, but that doll is
Yeah.
real.
And it's funny how it came. Raggedy Ann didn't give them the rights in the original Conjuring.
Yeah, and so
and I
they had to
guess
make
they
the
got
other
the
one.
rights or
For
whatever.
this one. Yeah.
But that also is a weird thing because is this doll also?
Yeah, so it's like, what happened to that? I thought
How
they were
many
gonna keep it
fucking
that way.
dolls are there?
And
you
how many
demon.
are possessed?
Leave them alone.
Worst Chucky in
Make
this
up your mind.
universe.
Here, do you guys think Annabelle's scarier than Chucky?
I think so, because Chucky for me now it's more laughable.
It's true. It sort of cusses at you, and it's just
Annabelle
raunchy.
does look creepy as fuck.
Yeah, just as a doll. As
Like
on its
I'm
own.
looking back at Chucky, and he has scars, and
Yeah.
he's banged up. If anything, he's a soft motherfucker.
Well, I got to say something. Since we're talking about dolls, I bought a sex doll.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Is it-
No,
is it
since we're talking
terrifying?
about the doll, I think it's a really cool to have an inanimate object as one of the sources of
A pleasure.
Oh my god.
of the fear or the MacGuffin of the movie, because the scenes where the doll is like on the bed and the girl like hits it with a gun, like it's a doll, but you're like, oh fuck, you should not have
Yeah.
hit that
When
doll.
it gives
in
her
the
the
head.
resting bitch face, like the next.
Yeah,
I was like,
look at
hell no.
Or when it's like sitting there, just quietly sitting there, it's weirdly scary, and you're like, oh shit.
I mean, it's a very terrifying looking doll to begin with. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know who played with that shit back in the day. Like, who the fuck? Like,
You'd be surprised.
that was your type of toy
Yeah.
back in the day.
I
Yeah,
played with
they
creepy
made
dolls.
it. They made it extra creepy.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's definitely creepier than the Raggedy Ann. The Raggedy Ann, I would not have. I would have been like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I actually.
You'd be
when I
laughing
was,
if it runs at you.
when
trying
I
to
was a
kill you.
kid, I actually remember seeing that and people having that.
Raggedy Ann's?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
my
it's
sister
just-
had one. Yeah, like
Now
it's a very
looking
common
back,
toy,
I'm
yeah.
like, fuck that. But
It's such a cool thing to have it in it, because I think that's something that's new to the Conjuring franchise. Is it's not a demon that's possessing a house; it's a fucking doll, bro.
yeah. So another thing that I was gonna mention, I did like the beginning of the movie. Like, just speaking of the doll itself, is like, oh, who would want that? But I did like that the father he manufactures these.
Yeah, he's
He
a doll
produces
maker.
dolls, and I mean it's also a little bit cliche, but at the same time, I did like the meaning behind it. I liked how he went to church and he talked to that guy and he was like, "Hey, when's my order coming? Like, I really want your dolls
Yeah.
and things like that." And I like that. And then to me, even though they showed it in the trailer, the death of the actual daughter was really like
Hardcore.
with the car, like just
Oh
out
yeah,
of
it was
nowhere.
probably like
Like the trailer
Man.
showed it, but when I saw it all come together, I was like, "Fuck!"
yeah. That part took me by surprise. I was like, I think when I was watching the intro and watching the doll maker make his doll and walk into town and stuff, I still in my mind had it like written it off. Like I was just like, nope, this is gonna be a dumb movie. Blah blah blah. This I can't believe I'm watching it. As soon as that girl gets hit with a car, I'm just like, holy shit, because
Yeah,
it comes
and it-
without like any warning. And there's no reaction from the actors too. Like it's a still shot afterwards.
And
Like
it cuts to the main story, which is cool
Mhm.
because you're left with all this suspense and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. You have to. I mean, yeah. Granted, you do the exposition scene where everything comes together is a little too convenient, but
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, when
just
they
like that-
explain everything.
yeah, at the very end. But yeah, that scene, man, it was like probably my favorite part of the movie.
Is
Like,
when
my
the little
favorite shot
girl
of the movie.
dies.
It's just only because it's so like
Yeah,
so
vicious.
abrupt, like so
Yeah.
abrupt, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a shocking part
It's
of the
super
movie.
raw. The way it's shot is almost so real. Like
Yeah.
it's just it just damn it.
I think there's a lot of like we talked about having kids in every Conjuring movie. This movie takes that to a whole new level because not only they're kids, they're all orphans. One of them has polio,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like how you're gonna, of course, root for these poor kids.
Oh my
Jesus,
Except for the mean ones. The mean
but
ones.
it is. I
kinda-
guess it also lends itself to the narrative that this thing is looking for the weakest of the weak.
yeah to
souls.
latch its own. Yeah. onto.
But we watched the behind the scenes of this movie, and the director would talk about how he was inspired by like the dumbwaiter. They put a dumbwaiter in the set, and he's like, "Let's do a scene with that." And so I think you can tell the setup, and that's when I talk about the tropes of the movie is introducing the gimmick that you're gonna play later, like introducing that little chair thing that goes up the stairs.
Mhm.
You knew, hey, some
Yeah,
shit's gonna go
something's gonna happen.
down.
Some gremlins like shit.
Introducing the dumbwaiter they kept opening, you're like, oh, something's gonna happen. When they look at the well, you're like, oh, they're gonna come back here later and do some crazy shit. Like these are very predictable things, and there's a payoff. So I'm not saying it's bad, but yeah, I mean it's like it's a
You do see it
Yeah,
go
because
formulaic
because
from a
like
while.
like with that chair thing, I kind of knew what to expect out because the trailer also kind of showed that. Like it got stuck, and then
Yeah.
you see someone. But then when they bring the chair back into the mix, when she's trying to get down
Yeah,
and run
yeah,
away
yeah,
from
yeah.
that shit, and then it pulls her up and then just drops her. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you're taking something that was expected and you're throwing a left or
Yeah,
curveball
subverting
at
it. Yeah,
me.
it's pretty
So
awesome.
I think that's good.
And that's something I think he thinks about, and I think that because every movie has already kind of been made, all you can do is look at the way the audience is going to think that something's going to play out and just do the opposite of it. Yeah, I agree. I think he also stretched kind of what you could see in the camera and off to the side. Speaking of the chair scene, the first time she goes up the fucking stairs, you kind of see something in the background. You're like, is
Yeah.
that something? And then it moves. You're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's something
Fuck that.
bonkers insane.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
You know what
maybe
I'm
that
talking
part is like my favorite part because like I literally jumped up. I don't jump up
Yeah.
at horror movies ever
because it's so blurry on
Yeah.
purpose, and you're like, what?
and you don't
What is
even
that?
see like I didn't even notice it was a head until you pulled it back. I was like,
yanked
there's
back.
eyes there, and I was like, holy shit, that's great.
And
Yeah,
it's
a
also
fucking great
not
part.
confined to nighttime, which I thought was insane because it introduces a new element, which is like demons in the daytime. It's crazy.
Yeah, now
Um,
they don't give a fuck. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to say that.
yeah, it's all right. You already offended the nuns. They're not listening anymore.
Oh my!
They're the only ones who would have cared.
I'm sorry. They didn't care.
But I think from the
We have
reviews,
one nun-
the reviews that I
audience
read
member.
that are bad, that's their main complaint is just the weakness of the story and all the setups. Like there's, like we talked about the well, you can list another 10, like the Scarecrow.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
everything was just a setup.
They-
It was a setup.
The Scarecrow was kind of cool though when his
When it
mouth
started
is-
ripping apart, yeah, like
I was
It's a
like,
the shark
great-
teeth, especially when it rips the mask off. I was
Yeah.
like, that's cool.
And it even when
But the
remember,
lights, turning
they're
off.
starting
again,
the
that's another
car
trope.
and the scare, it's like turning its head, or even when it was still, it sort of looked like it was human in a way,
Right.
Like, and it's just a sack, and you're like, man, this is weird.
yeah.
And I never speak ill of sacks.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what else? This movie had a lot of weird, I think, tension between. There's a lot of plot in this story and a lot of subplot, like the mom having a half face and ringing a bell, and like there's so much. It's so dense and
It's
crazy.
actually a long movie for what it is. Like it runs over 2 hours,
wow.
which is like not. I mean, you normally. I don't know. I'm no expert on this, but I would just assume like cheap horror movies like that would run like an hour and 30. Yeah,
minutes.
exactly. Like just.
The minimum amount that you can hold an audience.
But this is like not a long movie, but it's just like it surprised me that it was a 2 hour movie because
Yeah.
you're right. There is a lot in it. Like
build up.
Yeah.
and the pace is actually really weird too. It's very slow at the beginning.
And I know you said you
Super
didn't
slow.
you didn't like watching it with an audience because
Oh,
of
yeah, I
course
don't like-
in horror
I don't-
movies someone's gonna be like, oh hell no, don't go in there,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
stupid
Yeah,
girl.
providing color commentary the entire
That was
fucking time.
But I think that it's also something. It's also a tough job for a director to be able to get a big group of people to be like on the edge of their seats
Right.
and to wait until the very last minute to then show you the thing or either or there's nothing or there's a fake scare or something like that.
Right. Mhm.
We talked about watching the behind the scenes before, but it's interesting to see this guy direct because he's a very indie dude. So he'll come in and like kind of block it and work with people to try to make it whatever it has to look like. And I think that's what lends to a lot of the surprising parts of the movie. It's not all written out before. It's
Right.
not all planned out.
Well,
and-
he said that too. He had said that like with his last movie, Lights Out, he actually went and like meticulously planned out every single like scare. And with this movie, he said he wanted to do more of a collaboration thing. So like he waited till he got on set to like write in some ideas and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool because you're not really into your own head too
Yeah.
much. Like you're open
Yeah.
to like collaboration basically.
It's cool to learn to be to be a director learning on a set and figuring stuff out and making something that's like this good. This movie had 100% Rotten Tomato score for a long time, and then of course more people watched it. That sounded really mean. And then other people's had their opinions added in there too. But I think it's a solid movie, and tension is tough to do.
Yeah.
But the amount this movie did have like so many tense moments. They kept going to that fucking room, and Jesus Christ!
I know, it's like, come on, you gotta learn.
What was
Take
your
a hint.
favorite? What do you think your favorite scare was,
My favorite
or
scare.
like your favorite like sequence?
You go,
We'll think
you
about
go-
it. Was
you-
it under the barn?
you
Was
go
it on the
first,
bunk
Josh.
bed? Was it the bunk bed for me was bonkers, and it's you know what I'm talking about the
Yeah, the one where she was shooting that little ball out,
and then
stuff.
she looks down. Like that scene was made up. Like the gun scene.
Mhm.
That wasn't like they
in the script. That
were
was probably-
messing with the gun, and they're like, "You should shoot the fucking doll," and people would just
So
be
you
like,
get
"Oh,
mad when I
shit."
say fuck, but you can say it.
Well,
Oh, actually, no. This is an explicit podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you can go ahead and fuck it up.
Fuck it.
We did a
No, just
Lloyd
kidding.
Kaufman interview. I don't think it gets any worse
Yeah,
than
like
that.
that guy talked about masturbating, and he's like 70. So,
What?
Yeah.
oh, my
No
bad.
spoilers.
No spoilers. Jesus. Now I know what to
yeah.
expect.
Well, everyone knew that Lloyd likes to masturbate, guys. Come on, shit.
But what were you saying? What was your favorite scare?
It's between the bunk bed and maybe under the barn.
With the Ouija girl or the other one, the polio girl? Because there's
I think they have names.
One of them's called
So-
Linda, and then one of them's called Janice.
Lex has offended nuns,
oh my god,
people who have polio.
Oh, I haven't.
That's just a list of. Yeah, he's like the Donald Trump of this podcast.
No,
He
I'm
just
not.
doesn't
Don't
know
compare me
when
to that fool.
to stop.
He's making audio great again.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like the well scene as well. Oh god, I like the well scene as well. I like the
Really?
well
Yeah.
scene.
The one at the very end, the one where they throw the doll down.
Yeah, because it's the part where she hears someone chasing her. I thought was
Oh,
tense
yeah,
and
you're
all.
right. You're right. Yeah, that part is very tense.
Yeah.
That's a really cool moment. The moment that like stands out was the one under the stairs. Like that's when the movie took off for me.
oh yeah. When there was eyes and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Oh,
that's when the movie just took off because I was like, before that it was kind of really slow and stuff, and then after you start getting into the actual like hijinks, especially when that guy gets killed too, like his
Oh, yeah, the
fingers
dad?
start breaking backwards. That's probably like the most visceral
Yeah.
of the scares or sequences.
So for me, one of the it's probably not like my favorite scare, but based on context and I mean I liked it was
Dumbwaiter?
the one with the two girls, the ones that were really mean, and they were kind of like storytelling under the
Underneath
sheets.
it, like they're telling like a ghost story.
And once again, that's one thing that I saw in the trailer, which it sounds like because I keep on bringing back the trailers and what I saw there.
Did you just watch the
It's-
trailer, Lex? Did
No,
you watch
no.
this fucking movie or what?
It sounds like I saw like 3 different versions of the trailer, but I swear to you, it was probably just one. The trailer did show a lot, but
Yeah.
I guess they were pushing towards like.
Yeah,
hey,
but there were plenty of other scares.
Mhm.
It's
No,
like,
there
they
was.
showed
Okay.
10, but there was
So
30.
what I was gonna say is like the trailer actually showed this. It showed the girls telling the story under the thing and
Yeah.
whatever, and
Which is something Sandberg likes to do. He loves being under the sheets and filming. Okay, that sounds weird. But the shot of them
Yeah,
under
yeah,
sheets,
yeah.
he does it in a ton of movies.
and I knew what
Oh, I
to-
bet he does.
I knew what to expect from that, but then when they show the old lady like I
Walking
think
around. Yeah,
Lex is acting it out, just so you guys know, and this is an audio.
that was just really cool because it was a scare that they touched on it a little bit, and you figure out that it's a demon, but it's kind of like it's the less demon-esque scare, but it was still effective.
Yeah.
As I think so. That was my favorite. It kind of set the pace, and then I also didn't like those girls. They
That's
were
true.
like,
So you were waiting for some
they were like,
satisfaction
man,
there.
if you were like,
They couldn't even start a car.
yeah, I know, yeah, it's like come on, bro.
Yeah, starting a car is really hard in
Even though
1955.
one of them gained my respect when she was fighting against the scarecrow.
Yeah.
She was pretty good as far as like
Yeah, Batman can't even do that.
she grabbed an axe or something. What did she do?
Yeah.
Oh, she broke that axe off. Remember? She like broke
Oh,
it
yeah, she's
right
an
off
idiot,
of that
yeah.
axe. Yeah.
God, that's so tense to give them a little hope and then take it away.
During my screening, as soon as she broke that axe, I just hear the guy in front of me, like he was by himself, and the guy in front of me was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm just like, "God damn it!"
It's over for him. But yeah, I think this movie definitely does play with our emotions and gets us all tensed up. I think it's a really good movie. It's a good scare movie, I think.
One thing to mention, two things real quick. One thing that I really liked from a character standpoint was how Janice and what was the other girl's name?
Linda, the girl
And
Linda.
Linda.
Yeah.
Polio girl.
How they each individually had their own little dolls, and they were like not ugly or not like
Scary.
not like scary
Yeah.
looking dolls.
They weren't animal-ish. at all.
And
But that's
that was
subjective, too.
but that was the representation of their friendship. Like
Yeah.
they showed it at the very beginning where they were going to the house, and they said like, we have to get adopted together. We're sisters and blah blah blah. And then in that part when Janice got really scared that first time and she had to sleep in the first floor,
You switched.
they switched dolls, and I thought that was just a really nice moment.
Mhm.
Like it made me care for their friendship a little bit more. I wish it kind of got countered by the fact that I wish they would have maybe shown like a funeral scene. And not that it's necessary, but I would have liked to see Linda a little bit more affected by like shit. My best friend just got lost
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah,
possessed.
exactly.
Plus, she's gone. Like, in the movie,
Yeah, that's what I'm
she's
saying.
under the barn. That's it. Like, she's
I mean, we kind of
There's no
I would've-
resolution
I
for her.
would've
She's
just,
fucking
like,
gone.
figured that Linda doesn't really like. I got the feeling that Linda didn't really care for Janice anyway, because there's a scene at the beginning where shit hasn't hit the fan yet, but they're like,
Oh
"Do
yeah.
you feel sorry? Like, you shouldn't stay because you feel sorry for me." And she's like, "Okay." And she
Bye.
like, literally leaves
That
and
was
runs.
comedic relief, though.
Yeah.
She did
Comedic
care-
relief or like true colors?
Yeah, was that funny, Lex? Dude?
Yeah.
Jesus.
'Cause that's happened to me, and it's just not.
No. But I think that doll moment, that doll exchange was really cool. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty cool.
and she kind of, I think she kept it even towards the end. So I guess that does bring part. I just wish like I didn't see her that effective. She was
Yeah.
kinda cool with
That's
it.
true.
There was less.
Um,
there definitely wasn't a ton of remorse for the girl whose soul was just taken by a demon.
Yeah, it's like well, you know what? Honestly though,
Shit
but
happens.
If I would have gone through that, I mean, there's nothing I can do. I would have been like,
I guess
shit.
that's true too, because no one like even after like they had their little Amityville horror moment at the very end where the lights flicker on and off and the house sounds like a jet engine because things are roaring. No one but the cops went inside to check the closets to see if the little girl was still in there.
Yeah.
So like
They just
Yeah,
let
I
her.
would have been
yeah,
like, fuck.
no one really cared. They're just
Let
like,
her
I
die.
think we got a demon in there. You can go check if you want.
She crawled through the tunnels, or what'd she do?
She like broke a hole in like that fucking.
And it went where?
I don't know. Like
Fucking middle of nowhere.
I thought this was the prequel to It. Like
Smash
after
cut
that.
to
It was
like
just, pretty cool.
the demon girl walking for like 2 days.
She did a run, Forrest, run.
With
moment.
Yeah.
she's hitchhiking.
Her little
Her little polio legs, fucking.
There was the God damn it. Anyway,
The other thing that I was gonna mention real quick.
Yeah.
I really like. It really surprised me that little cameo that they did for the nun.
Yeah, that was the
that was a
only.
little much.
That was the only thing that he was required to put in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They told him to put. I don't think it was much.
Did I? Let me,
You saw it. Like it's a
No, I saw
hint
it.
of
Let me. I just want to push a pause real quick. Did I see two nun cameos? There's someone who
there's
pushed that chick into the barn. It looked very nunnish.
No, that was just like a reference, but
Like
it wasn't
like
a
a
cameo.
very. Was it just
Like,
like
it was a demon.
Oh, it was a demon just dressed as
Yeah.
a nun? Okay, cool.
So,
which when I saw it on the
nun?
trailer, once again,
You didn't see that where
like
the girl gets pushed in the barn?
Yeah,
Remember
that's
like,
true.
Someone's a nun like person is pushing her.
Well, it was like the demon pretending to be the
Sister
actual,
Charlotte, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, in the trailer, I thought it was gonna touch up on that.
Yeah, I mean,
well, did you guys? So let's talk about the other movies. Did you guys stay for the credits, after credits,
I
and
did
all that
not.
shit?
I didn't even stay for the after credits of this one. I
There
know
was
there's
after credits
There's an
scene?
after
there's three
credits.
after credits for this one. Or
Yeah.
something like that.
3 after credit scenes.
Two
for,
maybe. Let me see. Hold on.
what?
Let me
For-
check.
for Annabelle.
One
Yes.
is a smash cut to the nun when she was younger in the nun place.
Yeah, and then the other one is just Annabelle sitting on a rocking chair and looking at you. Like the actual doll moves. at this
Shut
point.
up!
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are messing with me.
Bro, they
I have it
marveled
fucking
it.
open right here.
Stan Lee also.
Wait, what about the nun? Like, what happened?
Just a young nun.
Nothing. It's just
They're
it's
just
a
a
it's a
young-
link. It's basically a teaser. Like they just show the nun in Romania, like
Which
the
nun?
Valak,
The
the one from the Conjuring 2.
No, is she scary or no?
I didn't see it. It just
Oh,
says
but
that
they
show it,
showed
like-
the demon nun.
yeah,
Yeah.
they show it because it's setting up for the movie The Nun next year.
Because remember, she's like,
But what
oh,
do you
I
mean
did- I
she
didn't
was
see that
younger? It's a
person.
demon, though.
I didn't see this. I didn't stay
No,
for the credit scene. That's
the
what they
nun
says.
from
Oh.
the nun from this movie.
Oh, her.
Young, like her while she was in
So
Venezuela.
you think she'll lead in that movie?
Maybe.
'Cause I was
So
hoping she wouldn't.
this is the interesting thing. This is the first Conjuring movie not in the United States. I think the nun is set in a
Romania.
different- Romania.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be bonkers.
Like it's set actually somewhere else. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It's
That's
gonna be
actually really awesome. Like
no,
that's-
I really once again I like that cameo and I appreciate. And actually, I take it back from like I don't want this nun to be in it. I feel like she could tie it up nicely and it would actually feel like a universe. I don't know. The dialogue wasn't really on her side. Like the ball wasn't on her
Yeah.
court.
Yeah.
But I mean, if she can deliver a performance, then I'd be okay. And then she also she said that she had other nuns with her. So I mean, I guess like if this movie,
It's a
if the
group of
victims
nuns,
instead
yeah.
of kids, if they're nuns, I think that'd be really interesting because they can play into like how you can truly challenge
No, I bet you.
spiritual.
Yeah.
I bet you there's gonna be kids in the nun movie.
I mean,
There'd probably be like nuns in charge of like kids or something, giving like Sunday
But
school.
who the protagonist is, like
you know what's really cool?
I'm
is the
saying, I want the
protagonist-
victims to be the nun. I'm sorry, I keep
No, it's cool.
interrupting you. Go ahead.
The Nun movie, the movie that's coming out called The Nun, is actually that girl isn't the lead character in it. Like it's
Oh,
Tessa
okay.
Farmiga, the younger sister of Vera Farmiga, who actually plays
is in
Lorraine Warren in
Conjuring.
The Conjuring. Yeah, it's her younger sister who's playing.
Oh.
the,
How young? How
the
much younger
lead
is it?
one.
Like a teen or is it a?
It's a teen. You've seen her in lots of other movies. I can't. I mean, you probably don't know when I say it like out loud, like Tessa Farmiga. But if you look online, like you
I'm
definitely
gonna
seen her and stuff.
I'll
Yeah.
look her up.
Wow, I'm excited for the nun. The Crooked Man, I don't know, but I mean, I think it's gonna be a. I like
Are
watching.
they all
these
just going to come
movies.
together in some sort of like supernatural, scary Avengers?
Yeah, they're all gonna come for the
They're just
Warrens.
gonna, they're gonna haunt. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna haunt the Warrens in a building or
Yeah.
something.
So the I'm excited for the Nun because that shit was creepy. I think it's the creepiest demonic presence out of the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
To my because it's embodied. It has a body. It has a not personality, but it has a presence about it. Like
Yeah.
it's scary. But I'm interested to see that. This is the way I see it played out. If they still want to do one more Annabelle movie, I think Annabelle, the safest route is for it to stick on the prequel environment or space. But I'd like to find out how the Warrens got their hands into it.
How does the last one end? The one, the Annabelle.
I'm telling you, I skipped it. Like I don't.
The
remember.
Conjuring, the first Conjuring says how they got it in, but all they do is basically just explain their case. They're like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I want
those
them
girls.
to see. I want to see that case like that.
because it happened. Remember, because there's a third case that we're not seeing. Like there's this case that we're talking about. This is going to get really confusing for our listeners.
Everyone, get your papers and pencils
There's
out.
Annabelle
Here we go.
Creation, which is a case, obviously.
Yeah.
There's the
Annabelle.
original Annabelle movie, which I've not seen, but is a case. I heard the story of that movie leads into that third case that the
does.
Warrens actually
I think
take
it's over. I think
in
Annabelle's
The
over.
Conjuring. Yeah, I think Annabelle
Because
probably
they show how they get the doll in The Conjuring.
yeah.
Because they are the ones who
It's
help the girls.
it's another set of girls.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Then
Because it shows them putting it in the case in the.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Now there could be more Annabelle because it's just in a fucking case. It could just get out. Or,
Well, it does get out in that movie.
Yeah.
Remember it chases their daughter. Or
yeah,
something
it's
around.
not in the case anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, never mind.
So
I was
everyone,
wrong.
that doll's still out there. It's actually a real doll, and the
no,
Warrens,
they have it. The real
Warrens have it. Yeah,
okay.
the real Warrens have
Don't
it.
scare them, bro. Don't scare
Warren.
our listeners.
The Warren have it. So James Wan was invited to go to the basement to check it out, and guess what he said?
Fuck no.
Fuck no. He still has not gone down to the basement to see the real Annabelle. And we were
that
talking
doll
about him
knows
blessing
what-
the set, right? Or what was it?
Yeah. So James Wan blessed the set of The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. You know, he had a priest come over and bless the set. David Sandberg does not actually. He's not very. I don't know what to say.
Superstitious.
Yeah, he's not very
He talks about how
superstitious.
boring it is on a horror set.
Yeah. He talks about that. He says like he doesn't really. He says he has yet to have something supernatural happen to him to where he believes.
He gonna get it.
But apparently, one of his actors, the actress who played Sister Charlotte in the movie, said that she was Stephanie something. She apparently said that she was freaked out by it, and then whenever Sandberg heard that like James Wan blessed the set of the previous two movies, he called a priest over and to bless. You know.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
now that's I guess that's a tradition in the Conjuring movies that you need to bless the set in order to
You have to. I
make
blessed
millions of dollars.
I bless the pencils. I bless my computer that I'm writing the
I
script
just want to bless
in.
someone if they sneezed. I'd be
Cameras.
like that's enough. It's too much blessing.
I don't know. I'd bless everything.
Okay. All right, Lex.
So I was looking up this Farmiga girl.
Uh-huh.
So she's gonna lead the younger sister. She's gonna lead.
The nun.
nun?
Yeah.
She's pretty.
Okay, guys.
No,
So
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, you've seen her in a couple
actually,
movies.
no. Because I think the actress that plays Lauren,
Mhm.
she's really pretty as well.
Yeah, it's her. The Lorraine Warren is her older sister. She's Academy Award nominated. She's actually been in a movie called The Final Girls, which I saw, which is pretty cool. It's a subversive take on 80s horror movies. So I think she's going to do great. She's a good actress. She's also in a movie called A History of Violence, which I saw last year. No, earlier this year. It's called
it's an old movie.
no,
Not
it's
an
not
old
called
movie.
A History of Violence.
How
What
can
is
it?
called?
She looks like
In a Valley of Violence. My bad. It's a Western.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's.
I'm
this-
excited for the nun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like if you
Next
watch
year.
Annabelle Creation again, stay for the after credits or whenever
Yeah.
you get it on Blu-ray because they have basically a scene leading.
It's
into
not
it.
on YouTube or anything.
You could probably.
I mean, not that I encourage.
Probably on Pirate
Leaked
Bay.
maybe.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts on this movie?
You go first, Tom.
It's a big surprise for me. Like I said, I can't stop talking about. I can't stop talking about the way I dismiss movies early on. You should never do that. This is proof of it. I had a lot of fun. It wasn't the scariest of the bunch out of all the even like the other two Conjuring movies that I've seen, but it is really good. I mean, it's very surprising, and it's got some good scares for like horror movie aficionados. It even has some good like emotional moments too that actually really bring it home and have. It's like what you said earlier. Like you really do care about some of these characters. So it's pretty great. I thought, I would say I would recommend anybody who wants to watch it to check it out. I mean, you're probably not going to be disappointed.
I think it's a well-constructed movie. Very interesting director choice. By interesting, I mean like he did the right things. He shook up the space that needed to be shaken up. Like he changed a little bit. He gave it his own style while keeping it aligned with the work that preceded Annabelle Creation, set by James Wan. So by keeping that style, I feel like we're creating a universe of movies that I'm looking forward to watch. And if they can continue to deliver the same way this did, and also kind of like always topping it off and bring different directors into the mix, I think we're set up for almost like a I don't think they identify themselves as we're setting up a universe. It's kind of like just organically coming together, and I feel like that's a good way to approach it. They're not directly competing with other like comic book universes that you actually do have to say, hey, we're setting up a universe, but then they're also not coming off the same way as like Universal Studios with their monster.
Yeah,
like they're doing all this like, oh, we're creating a universe, and that's what their universe is relying off. Whereas this, it stands on its own, and then it just kind of becomes a solid franchise.
Well, about this universe, fucking scares the shit out of me. It looks like for the last decade or so, there's just fucking demons out there everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. The world is not safe, guys.
Stacks on stacks on stacks of demons.
Seriously, like this movie is really effective. It's tense when it needs to be. You care about the characters a lot. But if you watch a lot of horror movies, I think this movie's
pretty tame.
It's a fun movie to watch.
Oh, my bad. I thought you meant like if they were going to come in like this.
No, it's a fun movie to watch. But you're right. Like it's
tame. Yeah,
yeah, it's a very safe movie, and I think
no cursing or anything.
Yeah, you can understand. You can definitely predict a lot of stuff that's going to happen.
Yeah,
but I think the how it happens is what makes this movie worth.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe like a ticket to admission, because again, if you see a well in any movie, something's going to go down in it.
Watch it in IMAX.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Watch Conjuring IMAX. But yeah, I'm excited for the franchise. I'm excited that big budget horror is out, because I think a lot of the most visual directors are going to come out of horror. Yeah. I mean, all these guys are getting paid to do the big stuff. So that's exciting. That's good for independent film.
Because Wingard coming out, and
because if you're an indie guy like us, we can't fucking hire Ben Affleck to be in our movie. So we got to make a horror movie. You don't need a great actress to scream. So I think it's good that these movies are doing well, because it means that a ton of independent filmmakers can make a horror movie and be successful at it, and not have to make like a black and white movie in a gas station in order to be recognized.
Famous,
I can call Ben Affleck. I got him on my contacts.
Yeah, let him know. Tell him that he's gonna play a certain kind of superhero in my movie.
In my Catman.
R.I.P. Cool. Do you guys have anything to plug, Lex?
I do. Please follow on Instagram or Facebook a company that I'm starting. It's a side business, side little gig for designs of print and shirts and things like that. So it's called Simplicity.
Spell it out for him.
Yeah, it's Simplicity TEE Design Labs. Wait, what? Why are you guys staring at me so like?
Wait,
you're the one who's speaking.
So it's like Simplicity, but instead of it like TY, it's TEE.
There we
like
go.
A T-shirt.
It's a playing words, and
like
so
a golf tee.
Exactly. But on Instagram, you can find us at Simplicity Design. You don't have to put the labs in.
Yeah.
But on Facebook, you can find us.
What's
there.
crazy? It's not a simple thing to type. What is it?
It is pretty simple. Simplicity.
It should be.
It's a play of words. What are you talking about? Right. Well, anyways, the reason I'm plugging this is
we'll have it in the description.
We started off with one single design. That design was just done as a seasonal thing for fight fans and things like that. But this upcoming design is going to be focused around Stranger Things 2.
Ooh.
So we're gonna. I'm
going to be releasing it. Like that shit.
I'm going to be releasing it probably this this weekend, getting people hyped up for the second season. But
Yeah.
it is going to be an original design.
And the third, right? Renewed already.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's great. I think this T-shirt is gonna. Hopefully, people renew this T-shirt and buy it.
We had some of the actors from Stranger Things recorded on a podcast, but Netflix wouldn't let us release.
Are you
what they said.
lying?
No
you
joke.
keep saying this story,
No.
and I'm not sure if is it
Sophia,
true.
we sent Sophia down there, and she interviewed the clerks person. But she interviewed two of the kid
Ouch.
actors from Stranger Things. They were totally down to do it, but the reps put the kibosh on it.
Wait, but you guys recorded it?
No, we had to delete it.
You had to delete
it's
it?
like show me you deleted it shit. Netflix
What?
don't play. Netflix does not play around. That's why Hulu.
And this is why we're applying to.
John, you have anything to plug? You guys just did a 48-hour film festival at the Sticker Fridge, right?
We did. The Sticker Fridge guys did a 48-hour film festival. I'm not sure how that's a pluggable thing because I don't know if our stuff is online yet. But
It's online.com.
look out for it. Look out for the Sticker Fridge YouTube channel. They might be, we might be uploading that video pretty soon. Go listen to all the Sticker Fridge podcasts. Listen to all the Delphin Pod podcasts as well.
Don't forget to go to rendersequel.com, but also we're giving away that stuff.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We can't hype enough this Lloyd Kaufman interview. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys, stick around for that. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna have a hell of a time. I guarantee it. Like shit, we had a hell of a time. So it's gonna be great.
If you want to
It's gonna be
learn
awesome.
about the Russia,
if you want to learn more about Russian hacks,
he
or
talks about that.
Russian hacks. It sounds like I'm just talking.
Masturbation.
If you want to,
Masturbation, yeah.
if you want to, we actually had a good conversation about the studio system and James Gunn and how Tarantino and we talked about a lot of.
Oh, definitely,
people.
yeah. We have some insight on like it's some pretty interesting shit. You should stick around and listen to it. It's gonna be
Not
awesome.
stick around right now. It's not playing.
No,
right
stay
after
there,
this. But yeah, download it when it's available.
Listen to the podcast for
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yep, this is live.
There you
So
go. Yeah,
in
exactly.
like 3 weeks, we're gonna be back. Keep your earbuds in.
Cool,
But cool guys. See you
98 in the bag.
in the bag.
Bye.
Later.